Now, as you all know, the month of May is the beginning of the summer season, and of course, the expectations behind the box office are really high, and May 2014 was certainly no exception to the fact that May tends to be one of the biggest months for the box office. And on the 2nd of May, we have The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The production budget is roughly $220 million, and the marketing budget is an estimated $190 million, so it needs to make a lot of money, and so far, it's made $678 million worldwide. $189 million of that is from the domestic box office alone. The thing is, it made $91 million on its opening weekend, but I believe that the not so positive word of mouth and the further competition that it ultimately faced is the reason that it hasn't had the best of legs in terms of grossing a far larger amount of money at the domestic box office. Worldwide, though, is where it's managed to do pretty well so far. It's made $489 million from foreign territories already, but if you compare this to the other Spider-Man films, it's not as high as you might hope. All of the other Spider-Man films have grossed a minimum of $750 million, The Amazing Spider-Man being the least of the other four, and the highest being Spider-Man 3 with $890 million. I think that by the time The Amazing Spider-Man ends its run, it may not outgross the prior installment, and I don't think it'll get anywhere near the original trilogy. The fact is, I thought this had the potential to make at least $800 to $850 million, but unfortunately, the negative reviews, the lack of repeat viewings, and the genuine lack of a positive word of mouth that a film like this would need is the reason that it's not doing as well as some might have expected. And on the second week of May, that is May 9th, we had Neighbors, which opened to a whopping $49 million at the domestic box office, which for an R-rated comedy is a fantastic set of numbers, and if you take into account the fact that it beat The Amazing Spider-Man 2 on opening weekend, the film has already achieved quite a bit. It's made $123 million domestically, and it's getting close to $200 million worldwide, currently at $190 million, but if you take a look at the production budget that it has, of a mere $18 million, you can see that the film certainly has performed far better than expected. It's a film with positive word of mouth, stellar reviews from certain people, of course, and really, people are enjoying Neighbors, and they're taking their friends to see Neighbors, and it's really a film that I did not see grossing this much, but by the end of its run, you could easily see $225 million and a possible sequel. On the 16th of May, we had Godzilla, which opened to a whopping $93 million. In fact, the second highest opening weekend of the year so far. It's currently made $165 million from domestic territories and about $166 million from foreign territories. And really, this film was a surprise to some. A lot of people have enjoyed it, though a lot of people, including myself, weren't particularly fond of it, though I still kind of enjoyed it. It's a film that, if you take a look at films like Pacific Rim, has certainly done far better in comparison. Pacific Rim made $100 million only domestically and grossed $400 million worldwide by the end of its run. Godzilla in 2 weeks is approaching the $400 million worldwide number and has the potential to get anywhere between 450 to even 500 or maybe north of $500 million. A film that wasn't so fortunate because it was up against Godzilla was Million Dollar Arm. It opened to a mere $10 million. Compared to its $25 million production budget, it's only made $25.86 million so far. I don't even think this film will get a profit. The thing is, Disney as a distributor and as a production studio has the potential to really make a film reach extraordinary heights. This film had the potential to reach over $100 million, but I don't think that the film and its content has really appealed to a large crowd of people, and I'm a bit shocked at the fact that from foreign territories, especially like India, it's only made $500,000 so far. Another film that didn't perform as expected is Blended. It opened to $14 million, which is just $1 million greater than Adam Sandler's 2012 comedy That's My Boy. And really, come to think of it, I get the feeling that people aren't particularly interested in seeing these sort of rinse and repeat comedies coming of Adam Sandler again and again and again, because they rarely get positive reviews, And so far, the film has made $25 million worldwide, which in a week is not a particularly bad number, but by the time it finishes its run, I think it'll finish under $100 million worldwide, which with its production budget of $40 million is not such a bad thing. But if you add the amount that they would have spent on marketing, I don't think that the profit is going to be as high as expected. And I believe that Blended is not doing so well simply because of the success of X-Men Days of Future Past. It's currently made over $360 million worldwide, which is in roughly 8 days of a run so far. Taking a look at it domestically, it's already outgrossed the amount that the Wolverine made in the entirety of its run. It has $138 million and is just $20 million away from beating the original X-Men, which grossed $157 million in the entirety of its run. Now, its opening weekend was $90 million, the second highest for any X-Men film, just behind The Last Stand, and I think that by the end of its run, X-Men Days of Future Past will make roughly $200, maybe even $215, $220 million domestically, but it's the worldwide perspective that I'm very, very interested by, because from a worldwide perspective, X-Men The Last Stand is the highest grossing film with a shockingly low $459 million for a franchise that has been running successfully, as I believe, for 14 years. But the thing is that Days of Future Past already has $221 million from overseas territories, which is the third highest number for any X-Men film so far. And I think that by the end of its run, with the foreign territories really adding to that overall gross, X-Men Days of Future Past will be the first X-Men film to cross 500, if not $600 million. And on the 30th of May, we had Maleficent. Maleficent opened to $24 million on Friday and is set to get about $69 million on opening weekend. And from foreign territories, it's already made about $20 million, so a film like this, with Angelina Jolie as the lead, despite the not-so-positive reviews at the current point in time, the fact that it's distributed by Disney and has the brand of not only Disney but Sleeping Beauty that it gets to ride on, it has the potential of outgrossing maybe $300 or even $400 million, considering of the solid opening weekend that it's on its way to reach, and the fact that from foreign territories, it's a film that appeals to almost all demographics. And finally, in the month of May, we have A Million Ways to Die in the West, which has shockingly opened to just $6.1 million on Friday and is set to open to about $16 million on opening weekend at number 3, even behind X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, of course, we have to compare this to Ted because of the Seth MacFarlane brand name. Ted opened to $20 million on Friday and a total of about $54 million on opening weekend. But the thing is, Ted had far greater reviews. If you take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, Ted is in fact fresh. A Million Days to Die in the West is rotten. The genuine word of mouth behind Ted was far greater than that of A Million Ways to Die in the West, and Ted grossed over $500 million at the worldwide box office. I don't see A Million Ways to Die in the West getting even near that number. Initially, had I been asked how it would do, I would have said that $300 million worldwide seems like a possible number, but I don't even see it getting to $200 million at this point. I think it's unfortunate for Seth MacFarlane, but I think that A Million Days to Die in the West is probably going to close out at just $150 to $160 million worldwide. Then again, this is a mere prediction that I am making on the basis of literally a day or two's information of box office gross, though $200 million plus is still on the cards for this film if it does well overseas. It's now time to crown the box office boss and the box office bomb for the month of May. The thing is, this is based on not just the amount that the film has made, but that amount in relation to expectations, in relation to the amount that it could still potentially make, in relation to its budget and various other factors. I think that the box office bomb, it's difficult to say that it could be A Million Ways to Die in the West since we have very little information about its foreign gross just as yet. So I'm going to have to say that the box office bomb is in fact Blended, with just a mere $14 million opening weekend, a film with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. To see that couple back on screen again was something that I believe a lot of people were actually looking forward to, but the film, with the upcoming competition that it has to face, doesn't really seem like it's doing well. It was a film that didn't even open to number 2 at the box office, and the box office boss, I'm actually going to give it to X-Men Days of Future Past. While certainly The Amazing Spider-Man 2 has made a lot of money, in comparison to the rest of the brand, X-Men Days of Future Past is perhaps going to be the new leader in terms of the box office of the X-Men film franchise. What the film has done in terms of outgrossing pretty much half the films of the series so far in under 2 weeks is something spectacular. And I think that X-Men Days of Future Past has a long, long way to go.